Hi everyone, it's Wayne. Today I'm going to talk to you about an Excel function which is called absolute cell referencing. It's a little bit hard to explain, so I think I'll show you. So here we have our activity that we're going to do. And if you can see, this is a menu order and we've got all our items down here. We've got the price of each item, how many were in the order of each item, and we've got to work out the GST, the goods and services tax, on the 15 of that item. So the GST is 10%, and so that represents the GST on all 15 of the items that are purchased. And over here there's another formula. So the formula here would be adding the total of the cost of the items plus the total cost of the GST to get that number there. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is to type up all of this. And as you can see, we're going to use we're going to leave these columns blank because they will be dependent upon formulas. Alright, so I'm going to put in my first formula here. And remember when we've discussed formulas before, if you're building a formula from scratch, you always have to start off with equals. Now this formula has three cells or two different components, and if I want to calculate something first before I calculate something else, I've got to put that first calculation in brackets. So I'll start off my bracket and I'm going to multiply these two figures together. So I'm going to click on that cell and put in my times, which is the star, and click on that cell there, and that's the first calculation that I want it to do. I want it to multiply or times those two figures. Then I'm going to work out 10% of that. So the 10% is up there, so I'm going to do times, and I'm going to click on that cell there. Now I'm going to do it wrong to start off with because it will show you how this relative and absolute cell referencing works. So I'm just going to enter that formula. That's a pretty standard formula to work that out. So at the moment, if I want to decrease the decimal points here, I could go to my home tab and I could go decrease decimal points. Okay, and it brings it to 449, so it's 2 decimal points there now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use autofill, and I'm going to grab the autofill handle and drag it down. Now it didn't work. Now let's examine our formula to see why that calculation didn't work for the other rows. So I'll just double click on that cell to re-enter that cell to examine my formula. So that formula is right, that's the one I typed in. It's that times that, and then multiplied by 10% to get my GST. If I look at my next formula, now what's wrong here? So the first bit is right. So that bit is right because I wanted them to travel down to the next two cells when I auto-filled it to copy it down. But what's happened here is that instead of taking the 10% with the E3, it's gone onto it's dragged that cell down too. That's what's called relative cell referencing. If I want that part of the formula to keep going back to that cell when I autofill it, then I've got to do something to it. And what I do, I'll show you that in a minute. I just want to show you the next formula. Okay, so the next formula, that bit's worked right. It's gone down to the next row. in this part, but again it's dragged this bit down. I want this bit to keep going back to that cell where the 10% is, the E2. Alright, so I'm just going to clear all of these. So in Excel on the web, highlight, then right click on your highlight and then clear contents to get rid of all those. Now I'll just double click back onto this cell to get back into my formula. Now all I do in that E2 part of the formula is I put a $sign in between the E and the 2. And that will prevent this one from going down a cell when I autofill it. So I'll show you this. So I'll press enter to enter my formula. It's the same figure for that one. Now if I use my autofill handle, my fill handle again, it should work, which it has. So let's have a look at my next formula. That's worked, and then it's gone back to there. My next formula, that's worked, that part, and then it's gone back to that cell rather than going down each time. Alright, so that's basically what you do for that one. Now for our total, so that's the GST amount for all 15 items. So to calculate the total for that item, I need to build my formula from scratch again, and I'll go equals. Now in the brackets, I want to do 299 times, which is your star, 15 to get the total amount for the cost, and then I've got to add on the GST. So I'll do plus and then click on the GST amount and then enter. Okay, now I don't have to do an absolute reference for this because I want all of those to go down. I want, when I autofill it, I want to copy the next rows down. So that works quite well. The only time I had to do absolute referencing was on this one because I wanted to go to, that was part of the calculation. All right, my last one is the total. So I want to add all of those up and have the answer there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a built-in formula this time. So if I go to my Home tab and then I go across to Auto Sum and click on the little arrow next to it and then click on Sum. And as you can see, it automatically finds what I want to add together. So if that's the case, if not, you've got to highlight what you want it to add together. So I'll just go enter, and there's my figure. And again, all right, so what I'm going to do is make sure, see that one is 3 decimal points, that's 3 decimal points. So I'm just going to highlight all of those. Actually, when I convert it to currency, it should be okay. So what I mean by that is I want all of these in dollars and cents in currency. I want all of that in currency and all of that in currency. So I'll highlight that. Now if you want to do 3 columns at a time, just press your control key and you should be able to highlight the rest of those exactly what you want, and then release your control key when you've done highlighting. Okay, so I'll go to my Home tab, and in the number area here I pick the $sign, and I'll pick English United States. It hasn't got Australia there, so I'll just do the United States, which is pretty much a similar system. Okay, so it's converted all those ones that I needed converted to dollars and cents, $2 and cents. Alright, so now if we look back at our example, one thing that we've got to do is do merge and center on that top row. So I'll go to my example and I'll highlight A1 through to E1, and then I'll go to my Home tab and then go to the merge and center button and click that. Okay, so that's done that. Now I'm just going to increase the font size of that again in my home tab. I'll pick font size, make it maybe 18. I can't really see it that well here because of the ribbon, and there we go. And I'll probably bold it as well, so I'll go home and bold. Okay, so I'm just going to pin that ribbon to there so we can see what's actually going on. Okay. Alright, so just in back here, the GST and all the other text is probably about 14, so I'll do that. So I'll make all of this text, I'll make that 14. Now when you increase the text size, you might see, for example, here that the columns aren't wide enough. So what I would do is just highlight the columns where you want it to be a bit wider in the header area, go to the boundary line, and when you get the double-headed arrow, click and drag it out a bit. When you get those, that means the columns aren't wide enough to support the number. So I'll just highlight both of those columns in the header area, and then I'll just increase the width of one of them. Okay, it's looking a bit better. I'm just going to zoom out a bit so we can see what's going on. And then I think all of these need to be bolded, and this needs to be bolded at the bottom as well, so I'll highlight those and bold them. Alright, now colours, fill colour. So green background, white text, dark green background, white text, light green background, black text, and a darker green than the lighter green down here. So I'll do this one first, highlight that, home tab, go to my fill, my bucket, my fill colour. I'll pick that one, and I will change the text colour to white. Okay, the next row, highlight that, go to my fill colour, and that's a dark green, and text colour will be white. Okay, the rest here, highlight that, and the the fill colour is sort of like a lighter green. I think that's sort of a green. And down here I will pick fill colour again, and I'll pick this maybe that one. That looks a bit better. Alright, so so that's essentially it. The activity for today, where you've used absolute referencing. And don't forget to put your name, date and course code down the bottom, like it is here. And just scroll out a bit, scroll in a bit. Go over to the side, yep. And put your signature in, or your initials, and then share it with me. So you can share it by clicking on the share button up there, putting in my email and a quick message, and then send. And that's it for today. Thank you.